Hi, everybody. I'm Judy Burgarella. Hi. And I'm going to show you a little bit of what I know about acrylic portrait painting. And I have a couple of samples of acrylics. This cowboy is one of them. This was from last week, Kathy Costa, our model in watercolor. This is a copy of another person's painting that I painted in the past week. I had a lot of fun with that, and that's in acrylic. And this was charcoal from the second week, and Guido from the first week. And next week is going to be oil, and that's really my medium, so I hope I shine in oil. Well, thank you. I'm dancing as fast as I can, but I want to thank you all for coming. And our model for today is Patty Goins, my good friend and fellow member of the club. And there's a lot of information over there on club membership. And if you want to take any classes, I teach here every other Thursday. And there's another teacher here who teaches watercolor, Judy McNamara. She's a wonderful teacher. She teaches here also. And we're always looking for new teachers. So, you know, if that's what you do, think about it. And Bob Barber is our videographer, and hopefully when this is all over, if we can figure it out, there'll be videos available for sale. We'll have to see how that goes after it's all finished, but the videos are fantastic. He does a great job. And I've really hamstrung him because he wanted to have more cameras and wires, and I really wanted it to be about, you know, the audience and the artwork, and I didn't want a lot of wires, and I wouldn't be able to move around. So, you know, this is really raw and uncut footage that is happening on the video. And when they're out, there'd be no music, no hoopla. It's just what, you know, if you don't want to take notes and you want to, you know, be reminded of what you learned, it'll be available. There's a sheet over on the front desk, and just put your name down there, and, you know, when we are ready, we'll get back to you. And Claire has, this event is free, but we do accept donations for our scholarship fund, and Claire is holding up the fishbowl right now that's got a few dollars in it. We'd like to see a little more by the end of the night, so we'd appreciate that. And if we may take a break depending on how things go, and if we do, then you can come up and take a look at other artwork of mine, or go in the back and see some of the works of the wonderful artists we have here. This is a club. You know, we have a little gallery space back here, but there's all different levels. So if you're interested in learning how to do what you see back there, all those people started somewhere too. So, and we'll all have a good time here. So don't be afraid to jump in. If you don't want to take classes, you just want to join the club and hang out, you'll learn how to paint or do some artwork just through pure osmosis with all the other artists around. And now this club was started in 1937. I have to read my notes because I can't remember. So we are celebrating our 75th anniversary. We're probably going to do it right after the first of the year. We have about 125 members, and we have monthly shows in Riverview Park with maybe about 20 of our members, and it's growing. And we are going to be part of a art studio tour. My studio at home is going to be part of that tour, but the, oops, sorry, Bob, touching the mic. But this art club is going to be part of the tour also. So a lot of our members are going to have their special works up and showing. So look for more information about that in the future, but that's going to be February 9th, and it'll be all day long. And most places, there'll be about a dozen of us artists who have the tours at our houses too, and we'll have refreshments, and it'll be fun. And our art center hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 3, and we are trying out Saturdays. I'm not sure if it's going to be permanent on Saturdays, 11 to 3 also. And I am the club secretary and the chairman of the art center. And without any further ado, I'm going to show you a couple of things. Those of you who have been here before know the routine. I'm going to map out the face for those of you who aren't familiar with portraiture, and then I'm going to show you how to do a realistic eye in acrylic. So those of you who've seen it before, you'll be seeing it in a different medium, so it will be a little different. So to start off with, to map the face out, if you have a face that is straight on, you do the egg shape. Most of you have seen this before, but I'm just doing it for the beginners. Put a line down the center and a line in the middle, and that's where your eyes are going to go. And you'll have, I always like to do the size of the orbit, which is the opening in the skull. And the eyeball is smaller, about half that size. So you get a general idea of the anatomy and the musculature and all the skin and everything that goes around the eye. The eyebrow is about here where the top of the orbit is. And there's usually a little, hollow area here under the eye. And then you just add your oval. And the nose is about in the middle, and the mouth is halfway between the nose and the chin. So with a few quick strokes, you really have the face mapped out. Now, it looks like she'd have a big old bald head up here, but if you put the hair on, it really makes sense that the eyes are actually in the middle of the head. So that's the mapping of the face. Now I'm going to show you how to paint an eye. This is going to be on watercolor paper. A friend of mine who is a pretty famous artist, he does a lot of his acrylic painting on watercolor paper. Some of you might have heard of him, Charles Groupet. I think, yeah. Well, we've been on trips with him. Yeah. He does a lot of his work on watercolor paper. So I've never done acrylic on watercolor paper, but I'm just going to try this eye now and see what happens. And I'm going to add, just on this plate, I'm not going to use my good palette. And my palette, by the way, is a Stay Wet palette, for those of you who aren't familiar with acrylic. It's pretty airtight, and Stay Wet comes with, I don't want to tip it too much, comes with a sponge which you wet, and you wet the paper. The paper is very specially treated paper that will be a good barrier between the water, yet it absorbs enough water so that it keeps your paints wet. And I worked on a mural with a couple of other artists for this past year. We just finished up a couple of months ago. And I remember seeing Dawn Mill, some of you might be familiar, seeing hers getting a little moldy, and I thought, wow, how could it get moldy before it gets dry? But it takes a few months, but it does get moldy, and it keeps it wet. It's amazing how well it works. But I'm going to do this rough drawing of an eye just on a white plate. And it'll dry up quickly, but I always have my handy-dandy water bottle here to keep it moistened. So I'm going to throw some colors on here, and I've got a little beige and a little orange, a little white, and brown, and blue. And see what happens. Now, the eye is never really white. And I'm starting with a beige. I'll put a little blue in it too. Actually, that's lavender. But the eye is shaped like this. I'm going to use a little more water. I'm thinking of Charles Groupet when I'm doing this, because I don't know how we can work this out with watercolor paper, but now if you don't take anything else away from my demo, just remember about the eyes. And in a second you'll see this eye start to come to life. Now each time I approach the same thing, the eye, I do it a little different because it's a different medium each time you've come here. I find with acrylic, I just like to get into the color. I don't want to draw, I just want to throw the color on because it's so forgiving that you could just go right over it. That painting there of the Asian girl, she was much skinnier, and I gradually moved. I did the background first, but I gradually moved her nose out, mouth out, and changed everything all around until I was sure I got it about right. But I didn't give acrylic paint a good enough shot until I started working on the mural, and it was a struggle. The first 4 or 5 months, I hated it, but I really do like acrylic now. Of course, you've heard me say that every time. I think I'm going to really love watercolor now, and every medium I go back to, I realize, oh my God, this is so much fun. Each medium has its own special attributes, and some play better for certain subject matter than others. I thought acrylic was not a good medium for portraits, but I was wrong, because to do that in oil would have, between letting things dry in between, would have taken forever. But that didn't take forever. So this is the eyeball and iris, and the little dark hole in the middle is the pupil. And if you get the eyes right, you can almost be forgiven for other mistakes in the anatomy of the face. But you got to get them even, and you got to get them looking good. Now, with this medium, I don't have to worry about leaving spaces for light or anything, because you just go right over it. That's the beauty of acrylic. Now, I need a black. There it is. Seems like they're making the lettering smaller on these tubes lately. Could it be me? And there's a brand here. I guess I don't have it. There's this brand here that is clear, Amsterdam. I hate this because when you have a dark color, you can't read the lettering. I don't know what they were thinking when they made these, and I have a whole set of them. And I won't buy them again just for that purpose, because you're painting with wild abandon, and then you can't even see what color you're picking up if you're putting it on your palette. So now this is a very dull, nothing eye right now. It's just not telling you anything about itself. There's no life, no nothing. But there will be soon. And it doesn't take long. If you follow this procedure, you'll see what happens. First, since this is a brown eye, I'm going to put a little orange down here, a little orange highlight like this. See, it's already starting to get a little pop to it. A little pop down there is not too bad. I think I'll add just a little white and see what happens. Yeah, there we go. And the brown is dead. Brown and black, dead colors. Do not like them. And flesh tones, dead. You get mud with that, but I sometimes start out with flesh, with acrylic, just to get the color down fast, and then you have to add so much life to it, you've almost reinvented it anyways. So I'm going to put just a little red in this brown, and you're going to see a little life start to come to it. See, you almost can't see the red, but you know it's there. And then a little brown and black, and maybe a little lavender. Give it a little pop. Right under the eye here, give it a little more shadow. And with acrylic, you have to keep tweaking each layer you do, and it is a lot about layers, the way I've been painting with it. Each layer you do gives you another layer of excitement, and it keeps you engaged in your painting, which is very important to keep you motivated to finish, because it took me quite a while before I realized I had to trick myself into finishing paintings, because I'd get to a certain stage and it was still the ugly stage, and I didn't know that you just put another hour in it and it's really beautiful. But that's part of the learning process. Okay, I'm going to put some eyelashes on here, and I'm not going to put the light on it until the very last, because I want you to see it pop. Now this is very, very primitive, but it'll give you a general idea of how to do an eye. And of course, if you do it very carefully, it'll look a heck of a lot better than this. Now, I'm going to take a little, I want to do the underside of the lid, and it's just the red and the pink are just too red and pink. So if you add a little green, if you want to keep it light, you just add a little lime green, and it softens that pink up. So nice. Look at that beautiful, natural looking pink. And you can't get that without the green. And the little canvas here, that's usually a little redder. Okay, now I'm going to go at it with a little bit of, mix a little white and cad yellow. And incidentally, when you're doing small paintings, get yourself a small knife to mix your paints with, or if you have a small palette. If you have a small palette and you're mixing with a bigger knife, you just make a mess and you can't keep your paint separate. So I always have to tell my students that they come in with these big palettes and small palettes and a big knife, and you just can't mix anything in there. So first I think I'm going to add a little bit of light right here, just to make it interesting. Oops, lost some of my dark. I'm going to add a little teeny bit of cad yellow to the white. For some reason, in just about every medium that I've tried, if you add a little teeny bit, just a smidgen of cad yellow in white, it makes white more opaque, and it bounces off the colors near it. Now this is, you almost wouldn't be able to tell if you didn't see it right next to the white that I've got yellow in it. But now when I put this is the glow here, which I will enhance too. But if we put a light right there, maybe a little there, but see the difference? It comes right to life. And a little more of a glow right under here. Now see that? See how that comes right to life? And a little more shadow under the eye, and we'll be done. Now this is a little too lavendery, but you get the general idea. So there's your realistic eye in a nutshell. And with acrylic, you can move it around somewhat like watercolor if you move fast. You have to move real fast. The water does get dirty really, really quickly. So I've brought another container. This is a wonderful container for watercolor or acrylic. It's got a little washboard here and two separate wells here, and a space where you can lean your brushes also.
Where'd you get it?
Any craft store will sell it. And I brought this just to show you what you can do with acrylic. We had a little challenge to do abstract. And these are just paper bags that I glued over an old frame I had. And just scrunched it up, threw the paint on, and it took no time at all. But acrylics are so much fun to work with. And they act as a glue, too. You could glue all kinds of things to them, and sand, mix them with sand, rice, almost anything you could mix with glue, you can mix with that, because I think they're about the same properties. So I have set my acrylic paints up, and I already did a background. I'm hoping this, I wanted to get really big with this so that everybody could see. And I'm hoping this paper, I've only used this canvas for oils, so I'm hoping it'll accept the acrylics well. I did it real quickly last night, and I noticed there's a lot of nubs, which you won't even see from the audience, but when I flicked the nubs off, it went right down to the paper. So here's hoping that it doesn't start peeling off. This is acrylic on here too. I use acrylic too as a ground for my oils too. It doesn't matter if it's pot acrylics or, these are little pots, cheap little pots. They don't have as much pigment in them as the, the good acrylics. But you can get, you can mix and match them. That one right there was done with the cheap pots and these, depending on what color I saw that I thought I needed. So this is my basic palette, and I'm going to see how this palette works out. I do it different each time. I don't do that many portraits in acrylic, so let's see how this works out. Now, a lot of people like to draw with fine charcoal. That one I didn't draw at all. I just went right to the painting. I'm going to draw a little bit with her because I want to get a little bit of a likeness before the end of the session. You ready? Can you hold that? Okay. All right. What's that? Oh. Okay. Now I have to figure out where I want her on the page. So I know I want a little breathing space at the top. Now if this canvas is going to be stretched on a stretcher frame, I would have to leave enough room for that, but for the demo purposes, I'm going to get as big as I can so that everybody here in the audience can see it. So there's the top of her head, and maybe the side. Oh, I just love that. Oops. Sorry. I just love that scarf, though. I'm going to have to get that scarf in there somehow. Yeah, I gotta. Just like if you guys were here when I was doing the red hat, the beret for Kathy Costa, oh, that red just got me all crazy. Just crazy about color. Drawing is fun, but painting is funner. Really is. Got a nice shaped head. Your hair is good too. Okay, I think I got a definite shape. And whoops, that will change. Funny how valuable some things are. I forgot my vine charcoal, and Susie over there, she had the little teeny piece. I'm so glad she had this. I'm just going to draw her out real quick, and I won't be on the money, but it'll you'll be able to tell it's a woman. Put it that way. Now, eyes right about in the middle, a little down like that. Like that. Now, see, when you're doing, this is about 3/4, so I put her face 3/4 with the cross there. And I might have her eyes a little high, but even though I say they're in the middle, it just doesn't seem like it, but it always is. I always have to move them. I'm always moving my eyes around, but that girl's eyes gave me a lot of trouble. Plus, they're Asian, and they don't sit the same way in the skull as Caucasian. Okay. Hope I can get you, Patty. Okay, that's a start. That's a start. And now this fine charcoal erases real easy. In the end, I can get some of it off, hopefully. I'm not sure with this ground. Because I don't want any of this black to contaminate my colors. I do not like black. If I have to have a black, I usually make it myself. Except for in the acrylic over there. That black worked out okay. I added a little blue here and there, but mostly was all right. I think I got your face too fat. So I got to bring this chin down. See, this is where drawing pays off. But I say I don't like to draw, but I really love to draw too. I like it all. This is so much fun. And it's so much fun to have a model a cooperative one that that doesn't fidget. Though Noah was wonderful. Noah was my pastel model over there, and he was only 10 years old or well, 10, yeah. He'd probably be mad if I said he was 10 because he's almost 11. But man, he was trying not to fidget, but he couldn't help it. Oh yeah, this scarf is beautiful.
Is she gonna smile?
Yeah, she's smiling.
I mean,
Is she going to keep it? Yeah, well, she promised she would. Yeah, I like that scarf. All right, now that's not much of a start. And I'm going to leave it that way. I'm not, well, I think I'll take a little bit of her chin off. There. Let's see that black. Ooh, I don't want it to get in my paint. But I think it's enough of a start. I'm anxious to get started. So I think I'm going to use some big brushes to get started. And it's always a mystery what colors to mix first, where to go, because with acrylic, you can start any place. You can start with the eyes, you can start with the skin, you can start with the hair. It's so forgivable. You just, if you make a mistake, you just paint over it. And if you got the color wrong or muddy or whatever, you just glaze. Now glazing is just a thin coating of it with a little water. And then there's scumbling, where scumbling is you just take almost a dry brush and just rub it into the tooth of the canvas. So there's so many techniques you can use with this. But, you know, I think I need to get her nose a little better. And now you've changed. Yep. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. Anybody else drawing? Oh, you're drawing too? So if she changes, you let me know. I'll hit her. Okay. Oh, you make me want to smile for some reason.
smiles are infectious.
Yes, they are. And Patty has a wonderful smile. We have a lot of fun. She's part of our painting group on Thursdays, and you're here Tuesdays too, but yeah. She laughs a lot, as we all do. We laugh through our troubles and paint out our pain and complain to each other, and it's a good club. We're not elitist. We're just people who like to paint and talk way too much instead of painting, right? We say that every week. Darn it, we talk too much. We didn't get anything done. Okay, that's pretty ugly. But so was she. So was she earlier. Whew, that's bad. Ugh, it's bad. You know, maybe if I block in her hair, can't stand it. You know, the ugly stage I just can't stand. Even though it's fun to draw, but oof.
Judy, there's white chalk up at the chalkboard.
White. What do I want? I've never drawn with white, but that's a good idea. I'd be willing to try it, but not now. Yeah, I might have to move your ear over a little bit there, like that. And this. And oh, wait a minute. Your neck is over here. There. All right. You got a little bit of earring here, too. Okay. All right. This background, I'll probably change that. I showed Patty a background that is dynamite that I found in a magazine. And it's brown, and it's got aqua in it with drips. Beautiful. So this is just to, you know, get a ground, so I have something, so I'm not covering up a completely white canvas. All right, I'm talking so I don't have to get any paint on here, so I better get started. I need a little lavender. See, I don't have lavender in a tube, so this is going to have to do. Oh, this is not good. Oh, well. It'll be all right. And if you mix, like this lavender, if I mix the opposite of the color spectrum, which is yellow, and sometimes I use orange, it tones down that lavender nicely, so that it's a little more believable under the eyes. The skin under the eyes is usually a little different from the rest of the face. So I'm going to start with under the eyes just so I can get, oh, this is pretty ugly. We'll see what happens. Yeah, ugh, don't like that, but it'll get better. I have to tell myself that.
We hope so.
Yes, we'll see. Well, I can't stand that, so I think I'm going to just add some orange. Isn't this crazy looking? Ooh, that's pretty crazy looking. But it's giving me a nice color. I don't want the green showing through too much. The green is, in oil, it would be great, but acrylic, not as good. This is just basically orange and white. And if I wanted to tone that down a little bit, I'd add a little of this very light green. And watch what happens when I add that. Tones it right down. Look at that beautiful, it's like a porcelain skin there. And it even looks good under the chin as a highlight. And it doesn't mean that you have to have some green thing on to have it reflect underneath. It just gives it a really nice glow. But I'm going to be bold and just keep going with this and see what happens. It's just fun to get the paint on there.
What are the colors again?
Well, this is just orange and white. And I'm toning it down with a little of this, I forget what color green this is. It's a light green, emerald green. Let's see, it tones it right down. And you can move this paint around a little while, but not too long. And add a little more lavender around the eyes. Now these are just base coats. Just to get it started. It's going to be real ugly for a while.
Judy, do you ever use those mediums that extend?
Extenders? Yeah, in fact I have some here, but I think it's kind of old. I'm a little leery of using it, but if I need to use it for this demo, I will. Now, oh, you got a nice nose. All right. Let's see what I can do with that. A little lighter here. See, very ugly. Not Patty. The painting to start off with. That's pretty bad. But you have to, when you're at this stage, you have to realize it's going to get better. You just have to work at it. You know, portrait artists take weeks and weeks to do a portrait, and they have to go through a lot of ugly stages. But I'm just doing this real fast because I got to get it done in half hour. So this is going to be quite a trick. But of course it's not going to be done. You know, you'll see some progress, but not